Pitt position previews next on Mark Rogers TV. All right, we're breaking down Pitt football. We got Jim Hammond on the line from Panther Lair. Please join him for the best in Pitt football and basketball coverage. Of course, keep it locked in right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, for college football analysis each and every day. You can help us build the channel and keep this going by grabbing the Amazon link in the description section below. Do your Amazon shopping using that link. Of course, subscribe and get yourself set for 2019. All right, talking Panther football, we turn to the offense, and please check out the videos on the defense as well. And we look at Kenny Pickett, who's a veteran, Jim, at this point. I first got to look at him. It was the Miami game, of course, that if you were watching college football on that particular day, it being a Friday and Miami undefeated, people were watching that game across the country. And it wasn't like he threw for 5 touchdowns and 350 yards, but he was extremely impressive the way he handled a top 10 defense, running, throwing precision, getting outside the pocket, not making mistakes, and that being his first career start following, I believe, him entering the week before against Virginia Tech, almost pulling off an upset win on the road, getting bogged down at the goal line. But the future seemed bright. And then there were kind of mixed reviews. Not a whole lot asked of him last year. 12 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I've got some Pitt fans who comment that they think the guy is, I hate using this term, garbage, trash, that sort of thing, and aren't pleased with Kenny Pickett's production. Your thoughts about Pickett and what he needs to do to get better?
Yeah, I mean, it starts, he ended his 2017 season as a true freshman that engineered a top 5 upset. And like you said, it wasn't, picture perfect 400 yards or anything, but he was making plays, he was making good throws, and he was running the ball. So I think, because of that, Pitt fans were looking, and even, the media and in general, everyone was kind of, trying to figure out going into this season, what is this kid? What can he do? And, he really did get a lot of hype during the fall camp. After each practice, Pat Narduzzi would say, Kenny Pickett hasn't thrown an interception all fall camp. So, leading into last season, there was such this buildup, and everyone thought, man, Pitt really found their quarterback, and it kind of really came crashing down pretty early. I mean, he did not perform well on the big stage when the team played Penn State. He could barely complete a pass. He was running for his life. So I think there was a lot of problems with Pitt's offense last year. I don't think the offensive line was a very good pass blocking offensive line. I don't think Kenny Pickett really progressed how he should have. And I don't think the play calling was ever all that great. And I think Pat Narduzzi kind of agreed, because he did, he fired Sean Watson following the season and brought in Mark Whipple to be the new offensive coordinator. So, Pitt was very reliant on the run last year. So I think you mentioned Pitt didn't ask Pickett to do a whole lot in some games. And that was definitely true. I mean, he was handing the ball off quite a bit. All he had to do was go, maybe 10 of 20 and, maybe, keep a couple drives alive. So they didn't ask him to do a whole lot. So I think this year there'll be more expectations of him. I think he has some pretty good wide receivers. The running game might not be quite as good, so they're going to have to lean on him a little bit more. So I think you look at him, and there's experience there. There have been some bright spots throughout his career. In last season's, the game that clinched the ACC Coastal against Wake Forest. Wake Forest actually kind of shut down the running game, and he threw for 3 second-half touchdowns. So he can do it. It's just a matter of, putting it together. And I think, the expectation is that Mark Whipple will have a more pass-friendly offense for him.
Yeah, there were few passing offenses in America outside the service academies that produced less, considering that Pitt, with a championship game appearance in the conference and a bowl game, played in 14 games, and Kenny Pickett started every game, played the entire games, and threw for 1,969 yards. If you look at the numbers week to week in regards to passing yards, you see a lot of 130s and 140s and 120s. And you mentioned the one breakout against Wake on the road, in which he lit it up for 316 yards in the 3 second-half touchdowns, as you mentioned, on 23 for 30. But the rest of them, very pedestrian numbers for a team that was built on the ground game. But you would think for them to defend their division championship that they would need to get more out of Kenny Pickett. Talent, but inexperience in backing up Pickett, as is the norm around college football. Your breakdown of what backs up Kenny Pickett.
Well, right now I think there's a two-way battle for the top backup spot. And the one is, senior transfer Jeff George Jr. Obviously, his dad played in the NFL for many years. He started his career at Illinois, went to Michigan for a little while, then ended up at Pitt right before the season last year. So at the time, I thought he would be the backup quarterback last year, but I think Nick Patty had a strong spring practice. He was a redshirt freshman last year out of New Jersey, St. Joseph's Regional, a pretty top program in the New Jersey Catholic League ranks. So I think those two are kind of battling it out. And, they already said Kenny Pickett's going to be the starter. As you mentioned, a lot of Pitt fans said it should be an open competition. Pickett's not that good. But I think at the end of the day, I think, Whipple just kind of put that to bed right away and said, he's our guy. So it's really going to be a battle of the backups. So I look at Patty and I look at George as the top two options. But I think the most intriguing option behind Pickett right now is Davis Beville. He's a true freshman. He enrolled early. He was a 4-star on Rivals, 6'6", tall, lanky quarterback out of South Carolina. And I think, Pitt fans finally got to see him in the spring game last month. And he was 13 of 17 for 157 yards and a touchdown. He had the most passing yards of any of those quarterbacks in the spring game. So I think you look at him and he's definitely going to be tantalizing to use at some point. But, I mean, he's probably going to need a red shirt. But I still think it's good for the program. He got in here early, went through a spring. So he's not, overwhelmed in the fall. But he's definitely an interesting option and, possibly the quarterback of the future for this program.
All right, Jim Hammond on the line, breaking down Pitt football. So I encourage you to go through all the Pitt videos that we'll be posting over the next several days, position by position breakdown of the Panthers. Jim, we appreciate you stopping by.
Yep, as always. Thank you.